There are over 35,000 museums within the United States, welcoming over 850 million visitors each year. Did you ever wonder what goes on behind the scenes in museums, creating the displays and exhibits we all enjoy? Join us as we explore museums and their exhibits from the inside out.
Welcome to Museum Access, the show that takes you to America's top museums to talk to the experts. And then we go behind the scenes to learn even more. Okay, all of you animal lovers, today we're in New York City at the AKC Museum of the Dog. The American Kennel Club is the world's largest purebred dog registry and leading advocate for dogs. It's only fitting that the thriving culture of New York City now includes one of the largest collections of canine art in the world. This unique museum is an educational, interactive learning center filled with state-of-the-art technology. Want to find your match in the canine world? You can do it here. How about a mini training session with a digital puppy named Molly? And if you're thinking of expanding your family with a floppy-eared, tail-wagging companion, check out the Meet the Breeds kiosk and explore the features of countless different breeds. We're going behind the scenes to see just how much care and planning is involved in creating a museum like this. So are you ready to learn more about man's best friend? Let's go.
Before we begin our visit, let's take a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to create a museum that's fun and functional. Whether artwork was two-dimensional or three-dimensional, large or small, each piece was carefully unpacked and placed in storage until it was time to display. Great care was taken laying out the various display areas. So welcome to one of the latest additions to the New York City cultural scene.
So I think we're at one of the more fun museums here in New York City, the AKC Museum of the Dog. This is great, Alan.
Yeah, but we just, it's a fun place. We've got a lot of interesting people coming in. It really caters to all walks of life. We call it a niche museum for everyone, because everyone loves dogs. You might have a museum for musical instruments, but that's not everyone. But everyone loves dogs. Everybody loves
dogs. And even if you don't own a dog, or you're not even interested in owning a dog, coming to a museum like this is really a treat.
Yeah, it tells you the story of the dog and the human relationship. That's why we interpret this. And we have paintings from about 1670 to right up to the last year or so. Additionally, we have some scientific things. We have a 30-million-year-old fossil here of a dog. So a whole variety of different things we have, from dog houses to collars, trophies, just what we call Dogiana as well.
Dogiana, I love it. Well, tell me a little bit about the American Kennel Club history. How did it start?
Well, the Kennel Club started in England around 1870, and then in 1884 they started here in New York, the AKC, with just 9 breeds.
There were only 9 breeds?
9 breeds.
Wow.
So then it expanded from there, and for most of the time it was a conformation show. You know, the shows you see like at Westminster or Philadelphia that you see on TV, you know, the judging of dogs.
So when you say conformation show, that means judging how the dog looks? Does it look appropriate?
How the dog approximates the breed standard.
I see.
The written standard. That they didn't have written standards till 1850s, and then they started written standards for each breed, and how that breed, that dog, this particular dog, stands up to that ideal dog.
I see. Okay.
But in the last years, 20 years or so, we've been adding, the AKC has been adding sports, about 25 different sports, from dock diving to rally to lure coursing, a variety of different things that people even get active and enjoy.
Well, and the other thing is you realize that there are different breeds that are probably better for different types of people. And I know you've got technology here, and I know you've got something called Meet the Breed.
Yeah, that's one of the things that people don't understand. And we're getting away from purebred dog as a word that sort of pisses people off. They're purpose-bred dogs, and they have been for years. And they were bred for either ratting for terriers or for chasing hares like sighthounds, or hunting dogs or guard dogs like mastiffs. They all had particular qualities that were bred for that purpose. And also, when you have a purebred dog, you know what you're getting. If you're going to an AKC breeder, they know the bloodlines and what's good about this bloodline and this dog or that dog. And they will be able to help you through that and pick the right dog for you.
So if you're a high energy person, you might want a dog that has a little more energy, right? Or maybe you're a senior and you don't want to be chasing a dog that might be a hunting breed. And I see someone right here that I think, who is this?
This is Gemma.
This is Gemma.
She's a Springer Spaniel. We're Spaniel people, but that's sort of the curse of the Springer Spaniels. They're active
They've got
all
some
their life.
energy. Yeah, she's beautiful.
And
though.
so we're struggling with the fact that we're not on all the time.
Yeah, she knows Dad's here talking. I'm not paying attention to her, but I bet Dad has a treat in his pocket.
Treat? Yeah, that works.
She's a good girl.
Good girl. Okay.
You've paid attention to working breeds. Let's talk about that a little bit more. What does that exactly mean?
Well, we have there are different categories: herding, working, and others. But I think we're talking more about dogs on the job. We have a segment that was sponsored by one of our affiliates, AKC Reunite, and it talks about the jobs that dogs used to have, or still do, field, like shepherding and things like that, but hunting. But also the jobs they have now, like PTSD dogs, canine dogs, diabetic dogs, all these different varieties of dogs have jobs for now. All dogs need a job. And also in that display, we have something that's fun for the kids. We have a 6-year-old Labrador Retriever named Molly, who we've trained. We actually took a lab out in Los Angeles and put in a motion capture suit and filmed her from 360 degrees, and that's translated to the motion on and she'll respond to your calls, and you can teach her how to sit, how to come, how to fetch. That's what we're doing.
That's such. I mean, it's such a great idea, and I see kids running around this museum, and they love to match their breed and learn about breeds, which is also exciting. But what are some of the community outreach programs that are available here?
Oh, there's all sorts of things. We have programs internally, which we do the pastel night, where you learn how to paint pastel drawing.
Oh,
we
really?
Have
With an artist who specializes in canine?
And we have a canine artist who specializes and does demonstrations. And we have an activity table upstairs where children and school groups can do. We have a brochure we just sent out for field trips.
I bet this is a popular destination for field trips.
And we also have private events at night. Many of the HR people in Manhattan, we have a de-stress where we have therapy dogs in, and you can come in, have an hors d'oeuvre and sit down, pet the dogs. And HR people are always looking for things for their.
Well, and we're not too far from the World Trade Center, and I know there were a lot of rescue dogs that were down there, and the therapy dogs that were needed after that.
That's one of the things that we have our Dog NY. We have one here and 2 up the stairs in the AKC. There's one also at the 9/11 Museum right now on loan. It's a search and rescue dogs, but it was really the therapy dogs that
absolutely
at the end of the day.
And I spotted a collection going up the stairs that looked like it was all porcelain. Where did those come from?
Well, porcelain dogs is a very large part of the collecting world for people. If you have a breed and you have bulldogs, if you get a ceramic bulldog on your birthday and the holidays, after 20 years you have 40. So they collect.
You're a collector.
Yeah, exactly. And so we pay homage to that in a very striking case. It goes all the way up 34 feet through our stairwell. It was designed by Gensler, who did a lot of all the architecture here.
Let's
and a lot of the
talk about
interpretation.
setting this up. I mean, this is an incredible location, and I'm sure it took a while to do, but you change exhibits. You've got, I understand some of the walls even moved. That was all forethought, I guess.
Yeah, faced with the challenge we have in an office building like this, we have all this glass on one side, and so you lose 1/4 of your hanging space. So they put these in here, and these actually will pivot. We can lock them down and then move for events or different shows or how you want to move it. We also have 3 upstairs, or 4 upstairs as well.
It's wonderful, though. Well, I'm anxious to kind of dig in a little bit. So can we do that right now?
Sure.
Okay, so one of the coolest exhibits here that I see all the kids running to is this Find Your Match. I'm a little nervous about doing it, but how does it work?
Well, the Find Your Match is that people think it's like find the match, the right dog for you, if your lifestyle we spoke about. But this one, using the photo recognition, will match you up with dog you look like.
Oh boy.
And this appeals to the kids and certainly the millennials. There's always screams and howls coming from the Find Your Match.
Okay, let's go ahead and do this. How do we do it?
You start here, and you look right there.
I look over here.
The camera's right here. So look there. And we'll say, press it, 1, 2, say woof.
Woof.
And then you get your picture.
Oh boy.
And you accept. And you know,
Oh,
through there.
It had to be someone with a lot of hair, right? That's hysterical. Okay.
Now we can test how accurate it is.
I want to see
bring Gemma here.
Let's
and,
get Gemma
see if
over here.
She has come up as a Welsh Springer Spaniel before, and but sometimes the Brittany, because of the coloring, is very similar.
Yeah. Come here, Gemma.
Hey.
Treat time. Okay, let's see how this works. Okay, Dad.
Have you hit
I'll
the button?
push the button. Okay, is she in there?
Hey,
She's close enough? Gemma, look at. That's pretty good. Okay.
Oh.
Let's see what she comes up.
English setter. Oh.
Oh, that's our
Close.
dog. An English setter. That's pretty close.
She has
Don't say boo.
and probably 'cause my hands there or something, but you know it's.
But she got the ears.
She
the
has
ears
been
with the feathers. Oh, that's just good girl.
Yeah.
Alan, I know it's not fair to ask you what your favorite piece of art here in the museum, but I bet the one over your left shoulder is in the top 5.
Well, it's not only my favorite, it's also the one that got away that I got back. It's interesting. It's one of the most important dog paintings of all time, actually. But this is Abraham Hondius, the dog market. It shows people buying dogs. A lady up here with toys and a man going for sight hounds, and then this massive kennel with about 52 dogs in there, and a bunch of vintage dog collars. So I think it must have been almost like a shop sign for a dog purveyor or breeder or something like that.
That's a pretty fancy shop
But
sign.
there's nothing like it before or after.
It's beautiful.
It got away because I had it in my sale when I was in the auction business. We had a sale of dog paintings at Bonham's, and it didn't sell. And because Houston had an interest in dogs at the time, and the curator there did, it was on loan for a number of years. And when we opened here, which is nice about this, now in New York rather than out in the Midwest, we got a lot more press and people more interested in giving us things. And so the owner contacted me again and said, would you like it? I said, sure, and it's a promised gift now. So it's a great painting.
Nice.
It's just super.
It's beautiful.
And what's also keen about it is it's really great art that we have here. One of my trustees was worried that we would be overtaken by the technology and not be a real museum in the sense of a traditional museum. But this is how it works. It works really beautifully
it's
between
really
the two.
hand in hand,
And actually, in this situation, you can look at a Mastiff that's central for you here, and then you can go to our Meet the Breeds table, which we have information on all 193 accepted AKC breeds. And you can look up anything about any of them. We have a Mastiff. There we have the Mastiff.
The initial,
and then you put him in the
you drag him into
his doghouse, and then we can see what a modern Mastiff looks like.
Oh my
There you have
goodness!
his appearance. It's a little bit different.
You know, it's amazing how it does change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
even the coloring. Look at that. It was white with a liver-colored head, and now it's solid.
Yeah, and that happens. This is great documents of what these dogs look like even before photography. So if you see how they changed, we often have arguments. It comes mainly from the people who are dog breeders, because it's a painting of something that was not really defined. The dog may not even been in existence, like Goldens and Labs weren't really recognized till the beginning of the century, the 19th century, or 20th century, rather. So some of these dogs didn't even exist. So it's a change. They look different. They're bred differently.
So what dictates the change in breeding and the change of look? Is it just society at the time? Or?
Well, part of the functions as they progress for the dogs, but also after written standards, you mentioned, they will have standards that will change. And each of these breeds has a parent club, and the parent club has the say over what the writing of that standard is.
Hence going to an AKC approved breed and breeder, correct? To keep the breed pure.
Yeah, it's not just the appearance, but also the health.
Sure.
They're able to identify when there are bad traits. They try to steer away from those. They're working at the Canine Health Foundation, which we work with. This affiliate of AKC does a lot of research into cancer and other things in the genome for the dog.
Well, I know some breeds, especially larger breeds, are prone to hip dysplasia. And I remember when we bought our first dog, there was all sorts of information showing that it was not in her lineage, which is interesting. And even if it is in the lineage, it's just something you just keep an eye out for.
Right, you try not to find another one that has the same problem.
Right, exactly. So where are we? I love this space.
Well, it's a different space from our first floor. It's still called the third floor because there was no second floor. It's mezzanine.
Okay.
But the third floor gives us an opportunity to look at things a little closer, not as large, and more variety of media, from sculptures to ceramics to what I refer to as dogiana, colors, whimsical things. All sorts of, all manner of stuff up here. Also have an area for temporary exhibitions. We rotate them quarterly here. We have one on vernacular photography right now, and we'll have things going on.
Yeah, I find it interesting, photography from way back when. It could not have been easy to capture these dogs. You know how fast they move.
Well, if you look at really old ones, especially the daguerreotypes, which had long exposures, you'll see these dogs on stools.
Because how do they get them to stay on a stool?
Well, they won't jump off a stool. You know, they're just sort of stuck there. So sometimes they've got 20 or 30-second exposures. But there's one guy out there who would put a caged bird with a shawl over it, and have the dog would hear it. But then, just before he would take the exposure, he'd drop the curtain, and the dog would be.
And his camera would be right there grabbing it. I mean, you have to, whether it's kids or animals, you have to be more clever about how you're going to capture them on film. Yeah.
Well, again, if they're on the ground, they're going to start walking away. Yeah. But so if you put it on a table or a stool, you see them doing that a lot.
Let's talk a little bit about how an artist really has to understand its subject, anatomically speaking, to be able to render it. I mean, obviously some are better than others, but don't they have to have some knowledge below the skin, so to speak?
Yeah, I don't know how much. It starts with George Stubbs, who did a lot of dogs, but he did horses, and he actually dissected and drew some of the first horse anatomy books. For me, after looking at a lot of these, you see a guy who knows it or a woman who doesn't know.
You really can't tell, can't you?
You can tell me.
Yeah.
With a dog. Sometimes there's a painting up here by an artist who doesn't do a lot of dog painting, but he got pretty close. I was amazed. For me, and over the years of selling paintings and being a curator, I look at dogs differently now. The function of art, really, overarching, is the artist wants you to see the world through his eyes, maybe his vision. Be it abstract or representational. Because after years of doing it, I started looking at dogs differently. I started picking up on things that the artist was picking up and then telling me, and I would start to see it in the dog.
Well, plus you also, I think, tend to know your own breed. So you would know your own breed and how it would move and how it would look, but you might not know every other breed. So this is what's so nice about coming to a place like this.
Well, it's interesting. Because of the people we call the fancy, which is the dog breeders, they look at these dogs like they're judging a show. Because they do it all the time. So when they see a dog, they're judging it like, and I try to tell them, I say I'm more of a translator here. I sort of try to say, it's a great painting. And they say, well, but the dog's not.
Yeah, but the leg is wrong, or the ears aren't cocked like that.
Exactly.
Or I mean, I guess you can become a perfectionist in that area.
Yeah, exactly.
this is kind of an interesting area here in the gallery. Tell me what we're looking at.
Well, it's a compact open storage. You have you see this in other places such as the Met and the Brooklyn Museum. We decided to put it out in front here so we have easier access rather than behind glass. I was a little worried that people might. So we have them ask for assistance, but it helps out with the amount of breeds we have and the different things we have. Because we can't give all the breeds, we don't
attention. Yeah.
And so if somebody comes in and they don't see their breed, we can say, well, we can find it here and pull it out for them.
I see.
And also there's a variety of other things as well.
Also, it slides right out.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so cool. Oh, what are these? These are great.
A variety of drawings and works from the traditional Great Pyrenees to a Disney cell. We try to keep a lot of different media here, keeping up with the. We have films which we put on in our library. We also have film posters. We're going to do a show on.
I think I saw Old Yeller. I was like welling up just looking at the poster.
And Lassie and all those.
Yeah. So I hear a lot of happy voices behind us in the library, which it looks like a great space. What's the concept here?
Well, it's a great learning space. It's something that I'm really overjoyed and very pleased with, is the fact that this is packed on the weekends. Right now we have a whole bunch of kids at our activity table. They can produce things which are then put on our Instagram.
The community
and the actual
gallery
pieces.
wall? I
community
love that.
So, and it's also a good place for AKC to get their message out, about the purpose-bred dog or purebred dogs, and tells our history and our timeline here.
Yeah, I love
and
this
it tells
timeline.
the different things, the Humane Fund, the Canine Health Foundation, the different charities that we sponsor, how attentive we are to responsible dog ownership. There's an interactive piece about breeders, and I always show, and invariably when I've done a number of interviews for reporters, I always take them to the choosing a breeder, how they talk about an AKC breeder will have you sign a contract, how the dog should be handled, and will take the dog back at any point in its life. And the jaws just dropped. No one realized that we have the largest group of rescue associations because each breed has a rescue.
And they love their breeds.
Yeah, they love their breeds.
Whether they're puppies or adults. So here we are. How do we start training Molly?
Well, Molly is a virtual dog, which we took a 6-month-old lab named River in Los Angeles and put her in a motion capture suit, sort of like a suit that has ping pong balls all over it, which at different points. So you can,
with cameras in them? Or?
No, that's just they're points that are aligned. So then they photograph it in 360 different cameras. Then you'll be able to position where those pieces are, and you can animate through the positions of the tail and the feet at different times. So
that's why Molly looks so accurate.
Yeah, the way the feet move into the tail, all of that is actual movement. You really couldn't animate.
Now let's go behind the scenes to see how Molly, the virtual dog, was created. Everyone agreed that it was important to portray a realistic-looking dog, so the decision was made to use the motion capture process. Several dogs auditioned for the role of Molly, and the AKC picked a 6-month-old black Labrador retriever named River. The series of cameras around the studio filmed River's movements. The cameras picked up the reflection of infrared light from tiny balls on River's body. River went through all of the basic obedience skills that the team wanted Molly to emulate. The producers could see River's movements captured in real time on their screens. They got plenty of shots of River just being a dog and having fun. She was so well behaved, she did most of the skills in one take. And now everyone that comes to the AKC Museum of the Dog can enjoy playing with Molly, the virtual dog.
So tell us what we do here.
Well, also by doing that, she'll react to what you do. This is you have to have a gesture and a command. This is part of the training of dogs. We have 6 different commands from come, heel, sit, stay, and down.
Down, okay.
Let's try this here. First, you got to get a treat. We're going to teach her to stay. You grab the treat, and you hold that for later. The command picks that up. Stay. Good stay. Then you get to throw the ball.
And off she goes.
Yes.
And she even brings it back to you.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Oh, she's a doll.
Yeah.
What a great idea.
No, the kids love it. It's
Oh, I
just a lot of
bet.
fun, and again, teaches you about the jaws, but also engages you in puppy training.
Yeah, yeah. And they all, Lord knows they all need that,
That's
right?
right.
With more than 193 recognized breeds and counting, the AKC's dedication to the study, breeding, exhibiting, running, and maintenance of purebred dogs is a blessing to the canine world. Whether you're a fan of teacup-sized breeds, strong and sturdy breeds, or somewhere in between, the AKC Museum of the Dog will open your eyes to the canine world in a whole new way. Author Dave Barry once said, "You can say any foolish thing to a dog, and the dog will give you a look that says, 'Wow, I never thought of that.' You just can't beat that, right?" Thanks for joining us on Museum Access, where every visit is an adventure. I'm Leslie Mueller. See you next time.
Made possible by TFI Envision, the connection to conversion agency. Palomino Restaurant Group, 25 years of creative cuisine. ML Capital Partners, building the businesses of tomorrow today.